Hi there, Ghostly here, and today we are watching Scream 2, released just 1 year after the massive success of Wes Craven's classic slasher film. We all know how much I love the first one, falling even more in love with it as I worked on my first two videos. It's now one of my favorite horror movies of all time. This one, not so much. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad movie by any sense of the word, it's just not as good. But honestly, considering how perfect the first one is, it's hard to keep up with the success. The movie begins at a preview screening of Stab, a movie in this universe that is based on the events of the previous Scream, where we meet a couple who get into an interesting debate over black culture in horror cinema.
What's a dumb-ass white movie about some dumb-ass white girls getting their white asses cut the fuck up, okay? Our genre is historical for excluding the African-American element.
I mean, you're not wrong.
We're gonna have an all-black movie, all-black cast, all black eyes, everything, black-eyed peas.
Jordan Peele saw this and was like, just you wait, I'ma make this. They're at the most insane movie premiere I've ever seen, which, as much fun as this looks, there's no way modern cinema goers would ever get to experience something like this. Way too many bad eggs in the bunch have ruined any chances of something like this happening in the future. I'd also like to add that everyone is just roaming around way too much for my liking at this theater. Why are there so many people out here? The movie literally just started and no one is inside actually watching what they came and paid for? Why did she make popcorn if she was just gonna go in the shower? I have to say, this whole scene of Maureen dying is executed really well and shows more of that meta commentary that the previous film tried to get across. The audience is literally so bloodthirsty for violence, they are watching this woman die in front of them, albeit thinking it's part of the presentation, almost like Romans watching gladiators in an arena. It was a really intense scene that genuinely made me stop and think about what I was watching for a moment. Cut to Windsor College, where Sydney is trying to move on from her traumatic experiences, even taking advantage of the ever-evolving phone technology.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
Who is this?
You tell me.
Corey Gillis, 555-0176.
Still, despite continuing to have her wits and strengths about her, she's human after all, and still has legitimate hang-ups about what she went through with both her mom's passing and the Woodsboro murders. Which means we still sympathize with her when she gets hounded by news crews yet again, the Vultures, now that it looks like Ghostface is back. Along with Ghostface returning, we catch up with another returning character, Randy, who's in class talking about how sequels are always inferior. Gotta love how meta this series is.
Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck.
No, please. By definition alone, they're inferior films.
Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Name one.
Terminator 2.
T2.
Hello. It also looks like Sydney didn't stay single for long, seeing as we get introduced to her new boyfriend, Derek.
Get a room.
I'd also like to point out that throughout this whole beginning, I kept saying to myself, hey, that actor! There's a lot of different talent here, such as Jada Pinkett Smith, who we saw in the opening, Timothy Olyphant, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and now Jerry O'Connell. Lots of 90s stars in this. Speaking of 90s stars. Well, hello, Kale. Damn.
Others, could I have a minute? I'd say I'm such a big fan of your work. I just really, really loved your book. I'm a writer myself. I just write for the local paper. I'm Debbie Salt.
Gail Weathers meets Debbie Salt. Who the fuck comes up with these reporter names?
Hi, Sydney.
Hey,
How are you holding up?
I managed.
To think this fuss is all because of you.
Hallie, are you gonna bring your friend to our little martini mixer tonight? I have a lot of work
We'll
to do.
be there.
Oh, good. Because Sid, we have our eyes on you. You hang in there, and if there is
anything I can do. The Delta Lambdas are very sensitive to your plight. Yeah.
You know, I already can't stand these type of clique-like characters, but it's even worse when they're trying to manipulate someone with serious trauma for the sake of inflating their sorority's reputation and fame. Unfortunately, these all make it out alive. It's a shame, really. But none of that matters now because my boy Dewey is here! At first I was confused as to why his arm was messed up and why he walked with a prominent limp, but later it was explained that he suffered nerve damage from being stabbed by Ghostface. After all our familiar favorites reunite, Gail, of course, decides this is an excellent time to reveal the real reason why she's here.
Hello, Sydney.
What do you want, Gail?
Well, I was hoping I might get just a few words with you.
Cotton.
Here we are at Windsor College, where Sidney Prescott has just been reunited with Cotton Weary for the first time since you wrongly accused him of murdering her mother.
Just like you, I'd like to get back on with my own life.
As expected, Sydney, doesn't take it very well.
Do you have any comments? You bitch. Oh, Sydney, share with us, please. I'll share with you.
That's 2 for Sydney, 0 for Gail. Sydney also wasn't the only one Gail pissed off, though, essentially calling Dewey dumb and useless in her book, to which Dewey had the best response.
How do you know that my dim-witted inexperience isn't merely a subtle form of manipulation used to lower people's expectations, thereby enhancing my ability to effectively maneuver within any given situation?
So later that night, Sydney and her roommate Hallie go to the sorority mixer.
Taking your psych major a little too seriously, Hallie. I'm fine.
She literally threw the fucking cookie, and it probably hit that girl right behind her.
I'm fine.
Who throws a
Cookie.
Honestly.
Meanwhile, Sarah Michelle Gellar is at another sorority house acting as an on-call designated driver for anyone who needs to be taken care of from the party, when she gets a phone call from someone that at first she thinks is her drunk boyfriend, but it quickly becomes apparent that it's something way more threatening.
Okay, Ted, you sound loaded. What's up?
Who's Ted?
Who are you calling for?
What if I said you?
What if I said goodbye?
Why would you want to do that?
Why do you always answer a question with a question?
Do you want to die tonight, Cece?
So was it Teddy?
No, some creep asshole trying to scare me. Shit.
What is it?
I heard a noise.
I can't believe you're alone in that house.
I don't think I'm alone.
She makes the very smart decision to call campus police, only to be let down by good old 1990s landline technology. It forces her to keep having to slowly go back into the house, making for some really good tension, because you just want her to be able to get help, but you know she's just inching closer to her doom.
Omega Beta Zeta.
Cece there?
Mm-hmm. Who's calling?
It's Ted.
It's your ill-conceived boyfriend.
No, don't leave her alone there. Poor Cece's death is reminiscent of Tatum's death, where everyone's at a party and has no idea she was killed until later. So we're back at the mixer, and these girls are still trying to schmooze their way into getting Sydney to join their sorority. Ladies, give up. It ain't happening.
Twit's being nice to you?
Painfully nice.
I take it you will not be pledging Delta Lambda Zeta.
I think not.
Unlike Tatum, though, it doesn't take long for everyone to find out about Cece's death. This is where we see that Gail's new cameraman is way smarter than the last one.
I have to be honest with you. I'm not cut out for this. I was brought here to do an interview, not Faces of Death 14.
I actually knew this reference, thanks to Spooky Rice and his disturbing breakdown videos. And of course, the second Sydney is left alone, this happens.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
What do you want?
I want you.
Then why don't you show your face, you fucking coward?
My pleasure.
We then get a reminder that Ghostface continues to be the clumsiest slasher villain. Never change, Ghostface. Luckily, Sydney escapes unharmed. Unlike Derek, who tries to be the hero by going back into, what, fight Ghostface? They really don't show what happens because Dewey shows up, but really it's to establish more of the whodunit aspect of the movie, by making it seem like Derek is in on this whole thing.
Why would anyone go back in that house anyway?
I went around to the back of the house and ran into Sid there. It's when she told me the killer was inside, so I went in.
No struggle? He just cut you and ran away?
Yeah, it's awfully convenient. It's just a shame he got away so easily.
Just a shame you got there too late. Right after he disappeared.
The next day, Dewey, Gale, and the Chief come to the conclusion that based on the names of the victims, the new Ghostface is a copycat, possibly recreating the Woodsboro murders. Because of this, and the events of the night before, Sydney is now being guarded by 2 detectives who have to follow her all over campus. Sydney also comes to her own conclusion that for Derek's safety, he should stay away from her until this all blows over. Although Derek poses a very interesting question.
You are concerned with my personal well-being and not with trusting me or anything, right?
Why would you ask that if you weren't trying to make yourself suspicious? Although, to be fair, given her track record of past relationships, she does have a good reason to suspect boyfriends of wanting to murder her. She's not the only suspicious one, however. Salty Deb over here starts to compile her own accusations.
So who do you
What
think
about Sydney's father? Has he been ruled out as a suspect?
Well, he's supposedly out of the country on business, but that sounds a little fishy, don't you think? What about this ex-cop Dewey Riley? It's kind of strange that he showed up.
Well, it just seems to me that if the killer is repeating what happened in Woodsboro, it's quite possible that the killer could be from Woodsboro.
And then we get the weirdest scene. It starts off as a normal scene of our characters talking, but then Derek starts singing? He bursts into a huge performance and show of affection for Sydney. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like that he's trying to show how much he cares about her, while also giving the rest of the students some sort of joy when it's been nothing but bleak. But this scene is just so out of place, and I'm not totally sure what the writers and Wes Craven were trying to get from this. Really, I think it's to have Derek give Sydney his Greek letter so that we can set up what happens later. Also, this scene from the movie, within the movie, is hilarious because they got Luke Wilson to play fake Billy and made him out to look as much like him as possible. But he just looks really silly with the long hair. We get another dose of horror movie rules from Randy, who conveniently gets caught off at the one rule I'm sure every movie executive wanted to either stay secret or to copy off of.
Someone's out to make a sequel. So it's our job to observe the rules of the sequel. Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. And number 3, if you want your sequel to become a franchise, never, ever...
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
Later on, we see Sydney talking to her drama teacher about possibly dropping out of the show where she was cast in the lead role. Her drama teacher gives her a motivational speech that seems to do the trick, for now, and they perform one last dress rehearsal before opening night. Let me just say, I know nothing about the show they're performing, but it seems like a lot of production value for just a bunch of university students. And you didn't think that this would traumatize her in any way?
Sid, your escort has arrived. Is everything okay? What's going on?
I need to be alone right now, okay?
Being alone is not the answer, Sid.
I need some distance.
Alright, let's all count how many times this man blinks in this one scene alone. After Sydney officially breaks up with Derek for his own good, we cut to the terrified trio here, where they're discussing what to do about the new copycat killer when Ghostface calls Gale's cell phone.
Gale's not here.
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
It's him. The killer. He can see us.
While Randy tries to keep Ghostface talking, Gale and Dewey immediately try to hunt down the perp across the quad. And then...
Why not set your goals higher, huh? You want to be one of the big boys? Huh? Manson? Bundy? OJ? Some...
No, come on. Why him? Fucking Christ, I hate this. As you can see, I did not take it well.
Did your computer just freeze?
You have an instant message, that's all. Just hit alt tab.
As usual, Cotton doesn't have any good timing and shows up at the worst time with his own nonsense for Sydney.
Shamari, Sydney, I have the solution to all of our problems.
What?
Forget Gail Weathers. Calls me out of the blue. But Diane Sawyer. Anyway, she tells me that if you and I go in the air together, she will give us the entire hour. You, me, and Diane Sawyer, okay? There's $10,000 each now.
Look, between the movie and the book, people know the truth. Let's get on with our lives. There's been enough exposure. Why would you want any more?
Maybe because I fucking deserve a little exposure. You drag my name through the mud. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of psycho killer, and all I'm asking for is one little fucking Diane Sawyer interview.
Sorry, Cotton, but no.
Lovable and fucked up Sydney Prescott, everybody's favorite little victim. Wow. Wow.
I really had no idea what the hell Cotton thought would happen. The woman is being protected by cops, and he was being way too aggressive. I get he's angry and wants restitution for false imprisonment, but this was not the way to approach her about it, especially not in light of current events. So, needless to say, things are escalating, and everyone is on edge. Gail blows up at Deborah's Sodium.
It must be scary knowing somebody's out there waiting and watching, enjoying all this. How does that make you
Look,
feel?
I know that you hold me up as your career template, gives you some sort of charge to challenge me, but give it a rest.
You're right. I'm sorry. It was the wrong time. I'm sorry.
Then gets dumped by her cameraman.
What's going on?
They impounded my van. It's now an official crime scene. Here's your footage. Enjoy. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
I need you.
No, you need to have your head examined.
Finally, someone who's smart getting the fuck out. Luckily, Gail is always working on improving herself and decides to find out who Ghostface is with the use of tapes full of campus footage that might have clues as to who might be behind these murders. So she and Dewey take the tapes to the film building that night. After some cuteness from our lovely romantic interests, and they each apologize for the things they said about each other, the movie adds a little spice that for a second there legitimately made me think these two were going to go at it in a university lecture hall at night, right then and there. But then suddenly they're interrupted when footage from the killer's point of view pops up on another TV. Here we see what the killer saw when they hunted the couple from the beginning, Cece, Randy, and... oh shit. Gail and Dewey get separated, with Gail running into an audio booth where the sound is cut off in certain areas. I really love this scene of Ghostface literally stalking his prey and Gail hiding behind all the sound dampening foam. Then Dewey comes in like the hero he is, trying to get Gail's attention, but of course she can't hear him. Oh god! Oh god! So meanwhile, Sydney is being sent off to a safe location with Hallie to get away from any potential danger. Right after she drives off in the detective's car, a bunch of students kidnap Derek and punish him for giving Sydney his Greek letters by pouring alcohol down his pants. Greek life is weird. To no one's surprise, Ghostface shows up to stop Sydney from escaping. They crash the car, leading to the really gruesome death of one of the officers. Randy was right, you gotta up the gore in the sequels, and the first one was already pretty violent. Trapped inside, Sydney decides to make the risky choice of sneaking out through the driver's side window, and let me tell you, I was insanely tense the entire time. Even worse when Hallie had to sneak out through the front, too.
I want to know who it is.
Stupid people go back, okay? Smart people run. We're smart people, so we should just get the fuck out of here.
Listen to your friend.
Running.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Should have listened to your fucking friend. Congratulations, you got your friend killed. Boy, Cotton Wary just loves looking mighty suspicious. He shows up covered in blood, scaring the shit out of Gail.
I found Dewey. I tried to help him.
Gail, wait, Gail!
Now, remember how earlier I mentioned that the Greek letters thing was just a setup for future events? Well, here's Derek randomly strung up at the theater production from before. Sydney starts to get him down, but unfortunately, it's time for the big reveal of who our mystery killer is this time around. And it's... you. Why is it you?
Surprise, Sydney.
Cop Vanth over here starts to play the lying game in order to trick Sydney into thinking that Derek was his partner. But that's clearly all a ruse since he just shoots him anyway. I guess it's just another way to fuck with Sydney. You know, even more than he already was. Well, they had to switch things up this time. It couldn't always be the boyfriend. Now, I get what they were trying to do with making Mickey the killer. It's all just social commentary about the era, especially his mention of it being all about the trial, given how the O.J. Simpson trial had been happening around the time this movie was made. It was a real-life spectacle that changed how people viewed court cases, and it's obvious the writers of this had that in mind when writing Mickey.
People love a good trial. It's like theater, they're dying for it.
That being said, I feel like his character's motivation and overall purpose, for lack of a better word, just feels a little contrived. He was just sort of there the entire movie, and I didn't much care for him. Not gonna lie, I actually sort of forgot about him for a while, so to have him turn out to be the killer while giving him this weird story was kind of a step down from our last round of ghost faces.
I'm an innocent victim.
You're a psychotic.
Shh. That'll be our little secret.
And then Sydney gives the best line of the whole movie.
Well, you're forgetting one thing about Billy Loomis.
What's that?
I fucking killed him.
She then proceeds to beat the shit out of Mickey. But of course, we're reminded that he didn't work alone.
Now who's doing that? Could that be the mystery guest waiting in the wings? Told you I had a partner, Sid. Surprise cameo just for you.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Mrs. Loomis?
Billy's mother. Nice twist, huh? Didn't see it coming, did you?
I knew Debbie Salt was a stupid name.
So you two are in this together?
There's only an estimated 97 active serial killers in the country today. Definitely one on the way up. All he needed was a little guidance and nurturing.
As only a mother can do.
In yet another twist, Madam NACL kills Mickey, explaining how ridiculous she thought his whole trial scheme was. Agreed.
Mickey was a good boy, but my God, that whole blame the movies motive. Did you buy that for 1 second? My motive isn't as 90s as Mickey's. Mine is just good old-fashioned revenge. Let him try and track down the second possible killer. Debbie Salt doesn't exist. You're as crazy as your son was.
Now this is motivation. I mean, it makes a hell of a lot more sense than fame by trial. Mrs. Loomis is also just a better character overall, since we see her play up the innocent journalist lie and see her more often than Mickey. Then, because Sydney is the best final girl, she proceeds to fight back using the stage setup against Mrs. Loomis. But our killer isn't down for the count yet, and neither are the sudden character appearances. Cotton shows up, and we have another standoff, with Mrs. Loomis trying to get Cotton onto her side.
I can still help you, Cotton. You don't need her. Let me kill her. As long as she's alive, you're never going to be the lead story. That's what you really want. If you really want to be in the spotlight, just let me kill her. Right now. Then you're the only survivor. You're the star.
For a second there, it does seem to work.
No, Cotton, don't you listen to her.
Quite a predicament you're in, Sid. I mean, she makes a good point. Bet you that Diane Sawyer interview's looking real good right about now.
Consider it done.
Thankfully, Cotton makes the right decision, and that's the end of the salty mom. Or is it?
Just in case.
Yeah.
Dewey! Can't believe you're alive.
He's alive! He's alive! He's alive! He's alive! You idiot! You nearly gave me a heart attack. You happy?
Are you okay? You hang in there.
Sydney, can you tell us how it feels to be a hero?
Talk to Cotton. He's the man you want to interview. He's the hero.
Guys, no one wants to give you this story more than I do. Unfortunately, there was a time and a place Indeed, a price for everything, so feel free to call me. I'll tell you one thing. We'll make a hell of a movie.
Overall, I thought the movie was fine. Just fine. It wasn't as impactful as the original, but given how well made that first one was, there was no way a sequel would ever top it. As far as sequels go, Scream 2 works pretty well. It isn't bad enough to add to the stigma of terrible horror sequels. It was entertaining, had decent jump scares. Certain scenes were still really tense and had me on edge while I watched them. The mystery aspect is still there, but this time around, the reveal of the killers just wasn't nearly as good. I did like the motivation behind Billy's mom donning the ghost face mask, but adding Mickey to the mix was just lackluster and not really necessary. I don't know, I feel like they could have done away with his character entirely, and it probably would have been fine. Although I imagine they wanted to keep the fact that there were two killers so that we could have another whodunit. Removing the sequel aspect from this, it was a good movie on its own. But I will say that the lunchroom scene still sort of baffles me. I do feel bad for Derek though, since he really was a good guy and didn't deserve to die. Sydney is still a great lead character. Dewey lives to be the best boy. Gail finally admitted her faults and her attraction to Dewey. I will say, I really wish they hadn't killed Randy. I understand it was really to ramp things up because it is a sequel to one of the biggest horror movies of all time. But it absolutely killed me, no pun intended, to see him get axed off when he was such a good character. The reaction you saw was genuine. His death actually left me reeling even after the movie ended. Even though I didn't like Scream 2 as much as the original Scream, I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I get to cross it off my list. Up next on the list is Scream 3, which I don't really know much about as opposed to the first two in the franchise, so it'll be nice to go into it blind. Hey there, I'm Editor Ghostly. As you could probably tell, this was the first time I've made a pre-scripted video rather than just doing a reaction compilation. I did throw in a couple of my real-time reactions to the movie, but most of this was read from a script I wrote after the fact. This being my first script read style video, I'm very aware there are some weird pronunciations, sentence structures, and other errors. Don't worry, I plan on improving with each video I put out. That being said, I would appreciate and welcome any feedback you have or what you thought of this new style. Do you prefer a reactions only video, or did you like this type of format instead? Let me know down in the comments. Also, feel free to let me know what other types of videos you want to see me release. Until then, I've been Ghostly. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this, haunt that subscribe button to see more, and I'll see you next time.